This is the Sony RX100 first generation. It was released in 2012, but how good is it today? Because now you can pick these up for about 200 euros on the used market. Even though it is already 12 years old, it is a camera with a 1.0 type inch sensor and an f1.8 lens. So because of the larger sensor and f1.8 aperture, you can still get some really nice background blur with this camera. But obviously smartphones have gotten a lot better recently. So can this still compare to a smartphone? Well, it really depends on how you look at it, because when we take a look at the photo quality of the RX100, you can see that it looks like an actual camera instead of a smartphone. So you can see that the images look natural and they don't have that overprocessed look, which can sometimes be very nice, but can sometimes also be a little bit annoying, because for example, it won't have great dynamic range. It likes to clip the highlights and then the image sometimes just doesn't look as nice. But because of the f1.8 aperture, you are able to get a natural, normal background blur with this camera. But the downside is when you start to zoom in, the lens goes to f4.9, which is a pretty bad aperture. And the zoom is only 3 times, so this means that even though you do have a nice optical zoom, you won't be able to capture things that are very far into the distance. When you fully zoom in with the RX100, you can see that the image quality will definitely start to get a bit worse. And that is because of the higher aperture number. But when you are fully zoomed out, it is f1.8, so you are able to get a nice background blur. And it is a 20 megapixel sensor, so that means that when you zoom in, the image quality still looks really nice. And because it is so tiny, it can still fit in your pocket, so that's really nice, you can easily carry it around. And when we take a look at the build quality, it still feels very nice. You have this manual lens ring here on the front, and that is great to adjust a lot of settings. It also has a built-in flash, but keep in mind the first generation does not have a flip screen, so it is completely fixed to the back. For me that isn't an issue, but it might be for some people, and there's also no electronic viewfinder. So keep that in mind. Just like most cameras, you can half press to focus and then fully press to take a picture. And this camera also has RAW capabilities, so you can shoot photos in RAW. There's no microphone input on this camera, and the HDMI is right next to the tripod mount, so this is not a great camera if you want to use it for streaming, for example. For video capabilities, it can shoot in AVC HD up to 28 megabits per second, in Full HD 50 FPS, or it can shoot in a lower bitrate MP4. Okay, so this is a quick video test using the Sony RX100. I'm shooting in aperture priority f1.8, so that means that when I get close to this subject, I should be able to get a little bit of a background blur. I'm using the internal microphone in 1080p AVC HD, because this model does not have XAVCS. So this is what the video quality looks like. And the issue is when you zoom in, you can see how slow the zoom is when recording video. And the autofocus sometimes also takes a second for it to focus. And if you really know what you're doing, you can still get some nice video results with the RX100 Mark I, but keep in mind it's definitely outdated technology when it comes to video. So the AVC HD is already an older codec, which just doesn't look that nice sometimes, and you can just see that the image doesn't look extremely sharp in Full HD. It looks okay, but it's nothing amazing. It also has built-in video stabilization, which works decent, and also when you start recording you can see that the zoom is very slow. And this is just very annoying, so it's not great if you quickly want to zoom in or out. For the battery, it is using the MP-BX1 battery, which is a small standard Sony battery, and the battery life is actually pretty decent of this model. The autofocus of this camera is pretty decent. It's not as fast as the newest autofocus systems of Sony, but if you just wait for a bit, then it should be completely fine. If you need autofocus that is extremely fast and always accurate, then this is not the camera for you, because it's already a bit of an older camera, but most of the time it just works completely fine. But in video mode it is sometimes a little bit worse. And when we take a look at the low light of this camera, well, it's decent but also nothing amazing. So that means that you can still take some decent pictures in lower lighting conditions, but don't expect it to be great in low light. So should you buy the Sony RX100 Mark I today? Well, if you like manual controls and you like to edit your photos afterwards, then this can still produce some really nice images. And that's also because of the nice large sensor and lens. So you are able to get some great results with this camera today. And the images out of this camera look natural, like they are actually captured on the normal camera instead of that smartphone look. But keep in mind, if you just want to quickly point and shoot and don't want to do any editing at all, then you might as well just use your smartphone, because that has more advanced processing. If you can find this camera for a good price and you just like to take photos, then this can still be a decent option. So what do you think of the RX100 Mark I? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching.